We keep seeing the same headlines. Gen Z won't serve, the snowflake generation, they're entitled, they've got a bad work ethic. But here's the reality. Last year, 170,000 people applied to join the British Army. The problem isn't the generation or the motivation, it's that the system is broken. In this video, I am going to break down exactly what I think the root cause of the problem is. This is not world according to Dan. This is backed by statistics from the MOD themselves on all the recruitment side. There's a lot of negative press out there, and actually I don't think it's telling the full story. Let's get into the video. Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about something that, to be honest, has just been pissing me off for a little while. This whole notion that Gen Z don't want to serve, that they aren't willing to fight for the UK if they need to, that they don't want to join the military, blah, blah, blah. You've seen the articles out there, you've seen the press. And to be honest, I think a lot of it is inaccurate. Yes, there are going to be generational differences that we cover in this video, absolutely. But the real point is that negativity spreads way faster than positivity, and you are not getting the full picture. And today I want to break it down. This is not just world according to Dan, although some of it probably is. However, most of it is going to be backed with statistics that I've got from freedom of information requests and general insights into the MOD's recruitment and all of that information. So that's what we're going to break down today. Okay, so I speak with these people every single day. Not only did I work with them in the army, I work with them now, and they are going above and beyond to set themselves up for a successful military career. Far more than many of us back in the day would, and I categorize myself as back in the day for someone that's just not a Gen Z, right? First, let's break down what Gen Z actually is. So if you don't know, obviously we know the generation, but if you don't know what they actually are or what it's classified as, it's anyone born between 1997 to 2012. So we're basically talking about today, 13 to 28-year-olds. And yes, that makes up the majority of applicants that are joining the British Army, especially the regulars, because there is an age cap. Here's the real picture. 170,000 people applied to join the military up to September 2024. So within that 2024 period up to September, that's a lot of people. All you hear from press like the Daily Mail or whatever is that people don't want to serve. But yet you've got a large number, a really large number that are applying. I feel strongly that we do not have an application problem, but we do have a recruitment problem. We need to acknowledge that. 170,000 people applied to join the army. 20,000 of those were medically rejected, with the number one reason, the leading reason, being mental health issues, which isn't a surprise when you look at the state of the NHS, when you look at the complexities with social media, with just the general pressures of life at the moment and the rising mental health crisis. It's not a surprise that mental health was the leading contribution, especially when we look back within a 5-year period and we had a pandemic where people suffered greatly from mental health issues. So that is not a surprise that people are being rejected for mental health issues, and it definitely doesn't mean they're weak. Second part is that from that 170,000, 20,000 were rejected, only 12,000 joined the military. 12,000 out of 170,000 applicants, right? And 14,000 left. Our outflow is greater than our inflow, which is impossible to then grow an organization, right? That is simple maths. But that leaves us with about 140,000 or just under number of applications that are just lost in the system. Like Capita can't pull them through, and we can look into Capita's details all we want and their track record in recruitment, which is horrendous over the past decade, and why they've lost the recruitment contract. But I think those statistics alone show you that, can we attract the younger generation more? Yes, we absolutely can. Do we need to is another question. Probably not. If you've got 170,000 people that are willing to serve, then I would argue we don't need to increase our number of applicants to some crazy number. We just need to get more proficient at pulling them through. The second part I want to say about this video is that there is a lot of negativity online around this topic, and just in general, the reason negativity sells You can be negative, it spreads faster than positive messages, which is why you get a lot of news outlets that spread these negative messages. And I actually just think a lot of them are untrue. Take this Daily Mail article. It says 64% of British adults are unwilling to fight for the UK. Let's just say that that is a true stat, even though I probably don't think it is. I've no idea how many people they surveyed, from what part of the world or what part of the UK they surveyed either. Let's just say that's true. So we still have 36% that are willing to fight. Well, firstly, thank God that we've got people willing to fight, because if we were in Ukraine's position, the war wouldn't have lasted very long if we just rolled over. So we always need people to fight. The second part is, it's a pretty sad existence if you've got 64% of adults in the UK that aren't willing to fight and protect their families if we absolutely had to. I think that actually just shows that it's pretty weak, if that's true. The next thing I want to point out is that in this article, we can see 66% of British adults are overweight. So out of that 64%, how many do we actually want in uniform? How many do we actually want in uniform ready to fight? How many are capable of it physically or mentally? So stats are great, but you need to take it with a pinch of salt depending on the source. Now, are 66% of adults in the UK overweight? Maybe, but we all know that if that's using the BMI scale, then it's a load of bollocks anyway. So just taking this 64% of people don't want to protect the nation, I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. So we've got the best part of 140,000 individuals that want to join the army that are somewhere in the system completely lost. Whether that is they might join next year, whether that is they're not pushing their application forward, or the more likely reason is that Capita have just lost track of them. We know that Capita's track record is pretty bad. I think their best recruitment statistic over the last decade is something like 65% attainment. And I'll be honest with you, if you walk into any sales job in Civvy Street and get 65%, you will be sacked immediately, right? In your first year, you won't have a decade's worth of attempts. So that shows you that we have a recruitment problem in terms of not being able to transition the number of applicants into soldiers that are starting training or civilians that are walking through the door. Even if we just had a fraction of that 140,000 people that are still in the system that could get through to basic training, then all of a sudden that manning crisis doesn't look so severe. I think we want to attain another 3,000 to 5,000 individuals in our regular army. That is super achievable with the number of applicants that we have, right? So these numbers aren't insane. We just need to be better at pulling them through. The second part I want to note on is retention. 12,000 people joined, 14,000 people left. Now, the reality is that over the years, that has changed. I actually faced a lot of flack, and kind of still do, for my reasons for leaving the military. Oh, he did his 1,000 days and then he left. Did more than 1,000 days. I did more than 4 years. I did 6. But anyway, that's by the by. But what's pathetic is that these people don't realise that most people don't sign up for the full career anymore. I don't know anyone that is joining a job in Civvy Street and goes, yeah, I'm going to spend the next 24 years in this job. It doesn't happen anymore. Some people may, but it is not the norm. It is now extremely normal to have different careers within your lifetime. Okay, we're no longer just a plumber forever. We're no longer just a salesperson forever. We're no longer just a soldier forever. We have different phases. And whilst there is lots of benefits that you can get from a full career, I don't think we should be negative on people that don't want to do it. They're willing to wear the uniform and ultimately willing to fight. So I don't think we should necessarily be selling this huge long career to the next generation. But what we can do, obviously, is better retention. If we solve retention as well, then the army will no longer have this manning crisis. So I definitely want to acknowledge the fact that there is an issue. Okay, we are losing more people than are joining. That is a problem, but that doesn't necessarily reflect a negative part of the generation. It's something that I think the armed forces need to note and be like, okay, cool. If people aren't joining for the career, what are they joining for? And I work with these people every day. I can tell you what they're joining for, and not one of them has said, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And that is not a bad thing. But if you are watching this video and you are part of the Gen Z generation, then please do comment and let me know. Would you serve for this country? Would you fight for this country? What are the issues that you face? Have you been one of these applications that are just lost? Are you currently serving? Generally, what are your thoughts? Because I might just be in a bit of a vacuum here where I'm pro-military, I have served, I work with people that want to join, or I worked with people that were in the military. So all I'm hearing is kind of this positivity around service. And I am passionate about the fact that I think there is a lot of positives to take from service, but I'm not blindsided by the fact that there are obvious issues and generational differences that need to be taken into account. So are there issues? Yes, we've pointed at some of them in this video, but the army doesn't need everyone to want to serve. We just need the ones who are motivated, capable, and willing, and actually they are in the system. We just aren't pulling them through. So are Gen Z ready to fight? I am genuinely interested in hearing your thoughts on this. If you have something to add, please put it in the comments box below. Are they willing to fight? I think many of them are. I think many of them are in the army already or wanting to join. What do you think? Is the army failing in its recruitment process? Or simply, do Gen Z not want to serve? Do they not care about the UK? And is that a problem that the armed forces needs to fix? And if this sort of content has been useful for you, or at least thought-provoking, so please like, subscribe, click the bell so you can be notified every time I upload a video. And I'll see you next week with a brand new video in a bit.